This week's 911, Lone Star, Trainwrecks, was more action-packed than last week, and yes, it was about a train wreck. This was one of the worst accidents we've ever seen on television, and we're not sure if everyone is going to survive. Owen also still hasn't picked a lieutenant, and Tommy faces some personal issues. Let's review. The biggest story this week was obviously the train derailment which caused so much damage. The most heartbreaking part in all of this was Franklin, the dad who promised his daughter he wouldn't miss any more of her events. We've learned that as soon as a character promises something, bad things usually happen. This was no exception. As soon as he made that promise, his car was crushed by the train. But can we talk about how amazing Mateo was with rescuing him? He was calm, or mostly calm, and didn't hesitate to volunteer to climb into the car. He was a real hero. The other victim was young Damon, who was just trying to get to his brother. His car broke down, so he hopped on the train. It seemed like a good idea at the time. We don't know the fate of Damon, and we never saw him after the accident. His hat was visible under the rubble, so maybe the 126 will find him next week. We hope he's alive. It will be heartbreaking if he doesn't make it. The other train wreck in this week's 911, Lone Star, was Owen's inability to decide between Paul and Margin. I know it's a difficult choice, but he has to choose. It's starting to get annoying that Owen hasn't made his choice yet. And making the choice based on who would take the bad news the best is a really terrible strategy. We're glad Mateo said so. Honestly, we kind of thought Mateo should be picked based on his actions during the train wreck, but he doesn't want to be lieutenant. And it doesn't look like Judd is going to get his job back, either. We're torn about Judd. On one hand, he would be the best. He was the best, but Owen made good points. Judd retired, and since then, good candidates, including Paul and Margin, have come forward. They've stepped up. It wouldn't be fair to them to just give Judd the position. But whatever happens, we hope Owen decides next week because this has been dragged out long enough. Tommy also had a personal train wreck, for lack of a better term, this week. Imagine proposing to your boyfriend, and then being told that his ex-wife has to approve it. We get that Trevor's ex-wife wants to be cautious about who she lets around her daughter. But this is just giving her too much power. Was this really part of the divorce settlement? Tommy is right to be upset, especially since Trevor's ex-wife apparently gets to judge her kids. We hope to see this meeting between Tommy and the ex-wife because it's going to be very interesting. Especially if Tommy gets to speak her mind, which we think she will.